Hello, guys. This is your friend Daniel Kwame Pobi coming to you live on behalf of the HiCAT team. This is Leadership 360 that the HiCAT team has put together. This is where we discuss everything leadership. This is where we discuss issues relating to leadership ability. How can we grow? How can we improve? How can we get better at leading and getting the kind of results that we so desire to get? Now, if this is your first time you are joining us, we welcome you in a very special way. We encourage you to subscribe to our channel, Daniel Pobi on YouTube. Also join our HiCAT community on Facebook. And you want to click on that bell button over there so that you receive notifications when we share some of these valuable inputs for you. In this episode, we are talking about overcoming team dysfunctions. We are looking at the fact that every leader, every authentic leader, every great leader understands and appreciates that you cannot go far without a team. And your ability to get your team together, and your ability to put together the individuals that have been assigned you, that you lead, that you guide, that you direct, and whatever it is that you're doing, how you get that team to gel will determine how far you can go, as the African proverb says. If you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go together. If you want to go far, you go together. So if you have people with you, then it guarantees that you can go very, very far. But if you choose to go fast, then you may want to walk alone. If not, get people together with you. So in this episode, we are looking at some of the things that disturb teams and worry teams and prevent teams from gelling and performing and achieving the maximum results that they so desire to achieve. And that is what we are talking about. So just a bit of what we're going to make a case for teamwork, and then we'll talk about the 5 team dysfunctions, those things that disturb teams and prevent them from performing. And then we'll talk about how do you overcome these dysfunctions, these 5 dysfunctions, how do you overcome them? And then we'll look at the role of the leader. What is interesting is that the leader has a role to play in helping the team to overcome those little foxes that can eat the garden of the team. Those 5 dysfunctions that we are going to talk about, there is a role that the leader should play, and we want to help ourselves identify that so that our leadership can be effective at getting the results that we want to get. John Maxwell, my mentor, has said once and several times that everything rises and falls on leadership. Nothing more, nothing less. Everything rises and falls on leadership. And that is why we would want to look at the role of the leader, the role that the leader should play when it comes to overcoming these 5 dysfunctions of a team. Now, in the last episode, we defined teamwork as that ability to work together toward a common vision. There is a common vision, and if you have the ability to work together, now that is what differentiates a team from a group. The team is working together toward a common vision. If we're all in the same vehicle, if we're all in the same airplane, it's a group together, but we are not a team because there is no common vision that we are pursuing. But the moment we begin to work together to achieve a common vision, then we say there is the formation of a team. And last episode, we looked at all these stages that a team should go through: the forming, the storming, the norming, and the performing stages. And as we go through that, it is all about results. It's all about accomplishing results. That is what a team is for. And if you have the ability to do that, then we say we have what we call teamwork. You have the ability to work together towards a common vision, a vision that is common to the people that have come together, an objective or a target, something that we have set for ourselves to achieve. So teamwork is that fuel that allows common people to attain on common accomplishments. If there is something that we need to accomplish, teamwork fuels us. And individuals, common people, we come together with teamwork. That fuel gets us to accomplish uncommon feats as a team. Once we are able to work together, and teamwork remains that one single sustainable competitive advantage that every group, every institution, every organization should have. It is a competitive advantage to have your team working together to achieve whatever objective that you have set for yourself. And if you think about it carefully, you realize that building an effective team, a cohesive team, is extremely hard a target. It's something that it's extremely hard to achieve. But the good news is that it is also simple. It is hard to do it, but it is so simple. What I'm trying to say is that, look, to get a team to work together, it's not rocket science. It doesn't require great intellectual insights, and it doesn't require some masterful tactics or skills that is beyond you. It is simple. If only you will follow some simple steps to get you there. More than anything else, it boils down to courage and persistence, because there is some time involved there, but you need the courage to work at it. You need the courage to open certain things up and allow the team to gel together. All right. So it is not rocket science, but there are some things that you need to do. And especially for the leader of that team, there is something that you need to put in place. And in this episode, we're just going to discuss these 5 dysfunctions, these 5 things that prevent a lot of teams from performing. Now, when it comes to helping people to find fulfillment in their work, you see, there is nothing more important than teamwork. It's often been said that people leave bosses, they don't leave organizations. People leave bosses, okay? So if people are working in an organization and they find fulfillment, majority of the time, most of the time, it is that teamwork that they have, that opportunity to work with others. Because as individuals work together in a team, you find your potential. You are able to find some aspects of your own life that you probably didn't know. The team is able to tap into your strengths. The team is able to tap into your abilities. The team is able to tap into your skills and your perspectives to help the team achieve. And as you contribute your quota, it helps you. And we realize that as people contribute meaningfully to teamwork, it affects them. It affects how they relate at home. It affects how they relate in their community, how they relate with their siblings and their family members, and their children are also impacted. So basically what I'm saying is that teamwork, the impact of teamwork is not limited to that cubicle that you work in or that office space that you work in. The impact of having teamwork as an attitude and as an attribute for your life helps you in other areas of your life. And you want to be that team player. You want to be that person that contributes very much to teamwork everywhere you find yourself, because the benefits are more. I'm just making a case. By that, I'm making a case for teamwork. The true measure, all right, the true measure of any team is that it accomplishes the results that it sets itself to achieve. If we are going to say any team is performing, it is by the measure of results that are being achieved. If we are able to achieve results, then we can say that this team is performing, is effective. Now, to do that consistently, to do that on an ongoing basis, to do that every now and then as a team, then the team must be able to overcome these 5 dysfunctions that we are talking about. And that is what we are going to discuss. There's a book that is written by Patrick Lencioni. He says, Overcoming the 5 dysfunctions of a team. Overcoming the 5 dysfunctions of a team. Now, Patrick has listed these 5 dysfunctions, and then he made some recommendations as to how we can overcome them. And that is what we want to discuss. So the first dysfunction, the big one, you can call that the grand one, so far as the dysfunctions are concerned, is the issue of lack of trust. Number 1 is lack of trust. Lack of trust. Number 2 is fear of conflict. Number 3 is lack of commitment. Number 4 is avoidance of accountability. And number 5 is inattention to results. These are the 5 dysfunctions of a team. These are the 5 things that will prevent a team from functioning, from performing. Let me go through them again. We'll talk about how to overcome them. Lack of trust, fear of conflict, lack of commitment, avoidance of accountability, inattention to results. These are the 5 dysfunctions of a team, according to Patrick Lencioni. Now, in his book, when he talks about the lack of trust, friends, then he's talking about the fear of being vulnerable. The fear of being vulnerable with team members. You fear exposing your mistakes. You fear exposing your weaknesses, where team members are afraid that other team members are going to see their weaknesses and they are going to spot that, not knowing you can't do this, not knowing you can't do that, not knowing you made that mistake, or you fought in this area. When team members are afraid of this, when they fear this, when they are uncomfortable about exposing these weaknesses and mistakes and these behaviors of them because of one reason or the other, basically is an indication of lack of trust. If you trust me, you will not be afraid of being vulnerable with me, because you know that I will know how to handle your vulnerability. I'll know how to be discreet and confidential with information relating to your life. And so you'll be comfortable. But most of the time, one of the key things that affect teams is that we lack trust for each other. We are afraid of being vulnerable with each other. Have you seen these teams where people share some things and you ask them, why haven't you said this before? Then the person says, oh, it never came up. It means that the trust level had not gotten to that point. It is said oftentimes in marriage counseling that there are some things you say to your spouse, your husband or your wife, and then later you say that, oh, I want to tell you a secret. I want to share something. I want to share a secret with you. And as you start, your spouse tells you, oh, you told me this long time ago. So when you got to that place of trust, you were vulnerable. You were willing to be vulnerable. You were willing to expose some aspects of your life. And that is one of the dysfunctions of a team, lack of trust. Number 2, Patrick Lencioni talks about fear of conflict. You can see that it's a build-up on lack of trust. But here is that desire that some teams have, to preserve artificial harmony, and they don't want to just offend each other. They're afraid of offending each other. They're afraid of stepping on the other person's toe. We just fear conflict, and then when there is any sign of conflict, they say, hey, don't go there, don't touch, don't go into that area. We're just afraid. It's better for us that we maintain that artificial harmony, as if all is well. And the truth of the matter is that this one in a team, when it exists, it stifles the occurrence of productivity. Once we want to just preserve artificial harmony, we don't allow conflicts to show up and the conflicts to be exposed and nicely resolved and resolved effectively and amicably and all that. And because of that artificial harmony, a lot of things are swept under the carpet. A lot of things may be eating people up. A lot of things may be just consuming people in the team, but they dare not talk about it because we have to maintain harmony. The third one is a lack of commitment. That happens when there is lack of clarity. People are not committed to what we agree and what we set to do and what we decide to do. There's a story of this pharmaceutical organization. They met together, the top management met and took a decision and said that, yes, together we are just going to reduce the staffing. We are going to cut down on staff. And then the heads of department, they all agreed in that meeting and didn't say anything. But the truth of the matter is that when they went back, some kept the information, some passed the information on to their team members. Some people just did not buy into what was said. And when that exists, there is a lack of commitment. There is a lack of commitment. There is no clarity. Sometimes there is ambiguity. Some things are said in meetings and they are not clear, and people do not understand things very well. But we close the meeting expecting that all of us are going to do A, B, C. And then because of that lack of clarity, some people are not committed to that which we decided. And that is one of the things that kills a lot of teams, lack of commitment. Lack of commitment, and we won't stick to the decisions because we're not committed to it. There's no buy-in, there's no clarity, there's ambiguity, and so we don't even choose to stick our heads out for what it is that we decided on. That is the third one. We've talked about the first one being lack of trust. The second one is fear of conflict. The third one is lack of commitment. Now, the fourth one is avoidance of accountability. I will not touch you, you dare not touch me. I will not touch you, you dare not touch me. Avoidance of accountability. We don't hold each other accountable. There is nothing like peer-to-peer accountability. And when that exists in a team, you can hold someone accountable. Your input, your output is supposed to be someone's input. And if you're not holding the person to account for their output, that becomes your input. How are you able to get your input and deliver? Some behaviors, some actions, some things that relate to results, we are not able to hold people to account. So we just want to avoid personal discomfort. We just want to avoid that situation that, will prevent team members and holding each other account and holding each other accountable. And we just stay there, whether we are behaving well, we are performing well or not, we just want to be there. We just avoid accountability. And that is the fourth one. The fifth one is inattention to results. We said earlier that every team, the measuring rod is that you are achieving the results and the targets that you set for yourself. Now, inattention to results plays out when people want their personal interest, they want to just achieve what satisfies them and what makes them happy at the expense of team goals and team needs and the needs of the goals and the objectives that we have set for ourselves, because we don't want to pursue the collective success. We don't want to pursue the collective outcomes that we have set for ourselves as a team. And so the personal goals and personal status and personal accomplishments kind of supersede what is a collective outcome. Now, these are the 5 dysfunctions of a team that Patrick Lencioni speaks about. Number 1 is lack of trust. Number 2 is fear of conflict. Number 3 is lack of commitment. Number 4 is avoidance of accountability. And number 5 is inattention to results. Inattention to results. Friends, let's look at how do we then overcome these? How do we overcome these 5 dysfunctions that we are talking about? The first one, we said that it is lack of trust. And we have said that great teams, members of great teams, they understand that there is the need for us to gel, to trust one another at the very emotional level. And they are comfortable with being vulnerable with each other when it comes to their weaknesses and their mistakes. They are very, very comfortable. They are not afraid of their weaknesses and their mistakes. And so without filters, they are willing to expose themselves to other team members. So the key ingredient to building this trust is not just time, it's about courage. The courage to pursue that vulnerability, to allow ourselves to be vulnerable with each other, because the closer we are getting, you're going to hurt the other person is going to hurt you, you're going to find things about each other and it may not be comfortable, but it takes courage to pursue that. What does the leader do, therefore? The leader should go first. The leader should go first. If you find that there is lack of trust in your team and you want your team to perform, you go first. You show the courage. Be willing to be vulnerable. Be willing to expose your mistakes. Be willing to accept that I made a mistake. I was wrong in this aspect. Be willing to apologize when things don't go well. Be willing to accept that this is what I did and I accept I did not do what I was supposed to do. The moment you show such example, when you go first, others can follow suit. And I have a fair share of these experiences. And you see that when you show up, you show courage and you go first, others take a cue and they are willing to also be vulnerable. So that is the first one. When there is lack of trust, it shows that we need to work on that courage to expose ourselves and to be comfortable with each other when it comes to our mistakes and our weaknesses. And we are saying that you as a leader, go first. Show the example. Number two, we're talking about fear of conflict. And it's about the fact that, look, when conflicts come, let's not pretend as if they don't exist. I was in a team and once we're sharing, a conflict had come up and I was telling the team that I'm happy that this issue has been raised. It shows that team members want to perform together. The moment such issues come up, there's conflict, and we are able to bring it up and discuss it and talk about it, then it's a sign that we are building together as a team. So what does the leader do? Explore conflict. Where there is conflict, talk about it. As they say in local parlance, don't put that big sundown on the issue and say that it is done. When we're young, they'll call you, hey, we hear you and this one, you and that one are fighting. From today, no more fighting. And the matter is closed. We don't even have the time to listen to both parties and hear where is the conflict coming from. So explore conflict if you are the leader. Number three is lack of commitment. And we've said that commitment requires clarity. It requires buy-in. So buy-in is about you achievement of honest emotional support. And it's not just about consensus. You may not agree, but you say that because we have decided, I am going to commit myself to it emotionally and all. I'm going to buy into it and I'm going to get us together to achieve. And clarity is also about the removal of assumptions and ambiguity that relates to what it is that we want to do. In a situation that is not clear, what does the leader do? Therefore, force clarity and closure. That is the role of the leader. Force clarity and closure. Ensure that things are clear before the meeting ends, before the discussion ends. You want to be sure that these are the conclusions, these are the decisions that we've arrived at, and you want everything to be clear. Sometimes you'll be amazed. The moment you state it, you realize someone say, no, this is not what we said. No, that's not how we put it. And then you'll be able to correct whatever misconceptions and assumptions and ambiguity that may have been in the air. The fourth one, we said avoidance of accountability, where individuals in a team, if you want to be that performing team, then you should be willing to step right in the middle of a difficult situation and remind team members that, look, We are supposed to be accountable to each other. Peer-to-peer accountability is key. Peer accountability is key. You can't have accountability coming from the top all the time. Team members should also hold each other accountable. So where there is this avoidance of accountability, the role of the leader, we are saying confront the difficult issues. Confront the difficult issues. Have that difficult conversation. Have that conversation that resolves all these things that make people afraid of also being held accountable, and therefore they don't want to hold the other person accountable. Last but not the least, we're saying that the dysfunction is inattention to results. And friends, all of us as individuals, we have this strong and natural tendency to look toward ourselves. We have our personal interest. John Maxwell, the legendary, I heard him say that if you want to know that everyone is interested in themselves, you take a group photo and give to anyone. Okay. The first thing is to look for, where am I in the photo? Where am I in the picture? Where am I? And once I'm looking good, the picture is good, the picture is fine, the photo is fine. Once I'm no, this is a nice photo. So this is a nice way, a simple way of being able to tell that all of us will look for toward ourselves and our interests, okay? And so before we consider others, before we consider even family or team, we think about ourselves. So what does the leader do? You want to be sure that you get your members, your team members, to focus on the collective outcomes. Let them focus and pay attention to what is the collective outcomes. What are we set for ourselves as a team to accomplish? That is the role of the leader. That's how you overcome this inattention to results. You get people back online, you get them back on track, that this is what we have set for ourselves. Friends, in this episode, we are looking at overcoming the 5 dysfunctions of a team. And we're saying that Patrick Lencioni has written a nice book, and he's presented us with 5 dysfunctions, and he has given us how to overcome them. And we went through them. We said the first team dysfunction is lack of trust. Lack of trust. The second one is fear of conflict. The third one is lack of commitment. The fourth one is avoidance of accountability. And the fifth one is inattention to results. And for the first one, the lack of trust, the recommendation for leaders is that you go first. You set the example. Be willing to be vulnerable. Be willing to accept your mistakes. Be willing to show the way, and then the others will take a cue. Where there is fear of conflict, we are saying the role of the leader is to explore conflict, open things up. Let's talk about them. Let's resolve them amicably, and let's understand and appreciate each other as we work together. The third one is lack of commitment. Once there is lack of commitment, it's a sign that some things are not clear, or it's a sign that there is no buy-in. And the leader's role is to just pursue getting people clear, getting some closure. Let's get some agreement, and let's get people to know that these are the agreements that we've come to. The fourth one is avoidance of accountability. And the proposal is that for a leader who wants to resolve this in your team, confront the difficult issues. Confront the difficult issue. The fifth dysfunction of a team is inattention to results. And because people are interested in their own achievements and what they want to, so the leader's role is to focus on the collective outcome. Always bring people's attention to the fact that there is a collective outcome. There is something that we are supposed to achieve together. And so let's focus on that. Let's focus on that. These are the 5 dysfunctions of a team and how to overcome them. And we've talked about the role of the leader. In conclusion, I want to remind you of that famous quote by Henry Ford, where he says that coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success. That is what Henry Ford says. True leaders, authentic leaders, they possess this attitude of teamwork because they do not care who gets the credit or who gets to be appreciated and said that, oh, you achieved that. And so they are able to move people from their personal and private goals and what it is they want to achieve to serving the needs of the common good, how we get ourselves to achieve the common good. Friends, thank you very much for sticking and staying with us in this episode. One more time, let me remind you, if you have not as yet, subscribed to our YouTube channel, just click on that subscribe button, click on that bell button, and also get the notification. Thank you very much for joining us in this episode. We wish you well. Take care of yourself and stay safe. Bye-bye.